Welcome to Climate Newsroom. I'm Agnes Mampusti, GAIA's Global Digital Communications Officer, reporting to you from COP29. And today I'm here with Jayakumar of Thanal in India. Welcome, Jayan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
As we've closed the first week of COP29, our viewers want to know, how are our delegates engaging and influencing national delegates to look at the impact of methane emissions reduction in the waste sector as a low-hanging fruit to climate action, and how are we influencing the shift towards upstream solutions to waste management? Today, we'll also unpack the COP29 presidency's declaration on reducing methane emissions from organic waste, what it gets right, and where it falls short. So today, Jayan, at COP, national delegates are looking at human capital, children and youth, health and education. At GAIA, we often talk about the co-benefits of methane emissions reduction in the waste sector. Can you share more about this?
In GAIA, I think for us, this was a very fruitful COP where we could really bring the whole idea of methane into the forefront. And there were GAIA members organizing side events in the Global Methane Hub and other side events and in country pavilions where we were talking about the work happening across the globe, where our people are, the communities are engaged in emission reduction and how we are able to bring together, and the whole idea of when you talk about mostly we were talking about waste management earlier, and that was the same thing, but people to understand the climate lens that whenever we recover food loss, or we minimize the food loss or recover from that, or even bringing down the composting and controlling emissions, that is a climate action. And that was not fully understood earlier. And I think with the methane pledge and the effort which the team has taken, I could see a lot of progress happening here, where we could really influence some of the governments in terms of even getting methane as a place in the NDC. They are revising, like in Bangladesh, and also in some of the very interesting dimensions of newer actions. And I was hearing the presidency and the conversation on the commitment in Baku. I could see a lot more hope in terms of urgent commitments, and probably we will have the GAIA motion of 70 by 30, which is cutting down 70% by 2030, which I think right now looks like a very solid reality going to happen.
Right. Thank you, Jayan. Let's break it down, the topic of today. So we want to talk about the co-benefits of methane emissions reduction in the waste sector. Can you tell us more about some of these co-benefits?
Sure. See, when you look at where the place I come from in Trivandrum, in 2001, we started the centralized waste management, and the centralized waste management still is a big mountain of waste residues and waste dumped in the place, and probably in the city of Trivandrum, that is one of the largest methane emission right now. But in 2012, the city went into decentralized waste management. So the community is getting into what you call decentralized overflow systems, where they could do it. And one immediate co-benefit in 2012 was, in a year, the city was saving around something like 15 million Indian rupees a year just by saving on fuel, which was not there originally thought when we went in terms of decentralized waste management. That is one. And second, in the city of Trivandrum, when the city officials and GAIA partners, when we worked, the GAIA members we worked, we were creating an opportunity where when the composting bin is given to the home, they were also given a grow bag, meaning they could take the compost out from the compost bin and then use it for growing their own backyard kitchen garden, or the garden on your rooftop, what you can then cut and use for your home cooking or as a food for your home. And so it brings two kind of savings. One, for the public, there is a lot of saving in terms of fossil fuel reduction, and on the individual or at the home which goes in composting, there is a immediate co-benefit of getting your vegetables ready in your backyard or in your rooftop.
That's incredible. It's really inspiring to hear all these stories, especially from Thanal in Trivandrum and what you're doing there. Would you happen to know any other examples from other countries from the global north and the global south who are already successfully implementing zero waste practices
I think
that are
we
contributing?
sure we are hearing from. Definitely in Africa there is a both Ghana, GAIA, the youth network, which is also a part of member of GAIA, could do a substantial contribution in terms of getting their city move on the zero waste path. And I could see that the young, robust team from GAIA is talking in Ghana Pavilion. They are talking to other people about their experience of setting up decentralized waste management efforts using where the community is involved and how they are addressing the needs of the city by way of community mobilization and communities involvement. That is a great example which I heard. And we also heard from RAP, which is an organization which GAIA is in conversation with in UK, how they are bringing down the food waste reduction of almost 1 million ton in a year, which is also a significant reduction when you look at a northern country like UK economy. I think these were two concrete examples I can just tell you that we could see in the COP, in the side rooms of negotiations.
Thank you, Jayan. So my next question is about environmental justice principles. We always talk about this in the GAIA delegation. How important is it that the new NDCs might adhere to this?
Yeah, I think even in the side event we had today in the FAO Pavilion, the GAIA Organics and Climate Coordinator, Officer Shibu was talking about the EJ principles. And I think we are seeing EJ principles in action. For example, in my city, I can very clearly see the waste pickers who were doing on its own, their own with a lot of risk of their own. Now they are assembled as a green support group by the city corporation. So they're getting their social service benefits like insurance, they're getting regular pay, and they're getting investment from the government in terms of setting up compost bins and compost facilities so that they can get their service subscription from the users. So it looks like a very immediate concern because there are many people engaged with their livelihoods on managing waste, and they need to really get a very proper place and a proper recognition for the work they have done for the society and the larger community. At the same time, ensuring that their lives are safe and they have a social progress in the context of their lives.
Great. Environmental justice, no one gets left behind. This is something that we at GAIA and the delegation are really looking forward to and really working towards. So yeah, you talk a little bit about the COP29 presidency declaration on reducing methane from organic waste. What do you think are the good aspects of this declaration, and what do you think might be missing?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting point which I heard was that there is a whole conversation about minimizing, and waste has suddenly become jumped as a priority for most of the country delegations now because waste is seen associated with methane. So that I think I see a lot more actions coming in and possibly a lot more investments coming from those countries, which is a good point which I see in the declaration. And today the presidency was telling us that tomorrow morning they are expecting around 300 people, mostly mayors, city mayors, and others who are coming together to express their support for the declaration. On top of it, I think there is a lot more mobilization for support in the way. That is a very positive thing. I am a bit of concern that there are many countries like Germany and others more talking about what you call land. Landfill gas recollection, I mean, recapture, and couple of steps. And also there is talk about like Korea was talking about capturing, converting food waste into biogas, and that could be huge biogas plants, which can also kind of replacing the, in principle, replacing the waste management facility with a big biogas plant. So I think there the element of EJ will not be coming in, and that will be a concern. Like the people who made a living out of managing waste, suddenly the earlier proposal of a waste to energy, burning waste, replacing or losing their jobs. And now if a huge biogas plants replace their job, which will be a critical challenge, but there is a matter of concern. There can be a solution like the house-to-house collection and segregation, probably none other than the waste pickers will be that efficient in doing it. So it could be corrected, but I have a bit of concern when I heard in the declaration room right now today.
Thank you for the insightful breakdown. It's clear that while there's progress, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in this commitment and declaration. Yeah. Talking about tomorrow, which is the Food, Agriculture, and Water Day, there's a side event that GAIA is participating in to talk about food loss and food waste. So give us a preview of how important food loss is and food waste prevention is.
Yeah, I think mostly we don't really look at like I know when we buy some food or when we have some waste at home, we don't normally look at the issue of food waste or food or even food loss to some extent. What we see now is people who used to waste a lot of food when they were just throwing it away. Now they see that they are wasting their resources and they are wasting food which could be food for somebody else who is unable to get a food. So something like the Indonesian GAIA partner who has come up with this food care as a approach for care for food as an approach for reducing food waste. I think that brings us it resonates with the need for bringing down and all the countries or all the people trying to participate in this effort of bringing down food waste to minimum level. And in terms of food loss also, it was one of the presenter in the panel was telling us like when you in UK, when you actually expect 100 potatoes from the ground, when your estimate, like finally they are saying that around 25 reaches the consumer as food, the rest is being lost on different areas in the whole thing. But I think around 35% is generally what you call retail and consumer loss, but 65% lost while it is harvested and transported and packaged to the retail. So these are areas like in the kind of effort we go, and also the emissions which is caused in food production and finally just thrown in the waste bin is a criminal offense, I think. We need to teach the world that you can't do such activities when millions are there in the planet who go hungry. So I think we need to develop a lot more communication about sufficient consumptions, and you buy what you can eat, and you eat whatever you have before you, and that will be a kind of, and if there is some excess, don't dirty it, you can pass on to somebody who is hungry. So there will be a very minimal civil kind of behaviors, which probably I think in terms of behavior change required. And I hope that tomorrow we will be able to communicate that better to as many as possible.
Right. I think food loss and food waste is such an underrated topic and undiscussed topic. So we are looking forward to the discussion tomorrow. Truly.
Yeah.
And I heard.
And I think that, yeah, and I
Yes,
think there is
go
also
ahead.
an element. There is an element in Asia generally, like in houses, especially in rural houses, because we live in communities. There is a lot of exchange which used to happen earlier. Like I have some excess food, I always pass on to my neighbor who may not have it, or somebody who is in stress of food. But I think those kind of communications are coming. I mean, social behavior is getting little less nowadays with urbanization. And the third thing is probably in countries like India, where there is a lot of value addition to the waste. Like if we have leftover rice, we will just get that into what you call pickles or papads or something where they can use it. So these kind of things need to be pushed a little bit more.
Yes, I think it's very interesting. The Asian maybe culture of like sharing food, community.
Yes.
And also, getting today's meal will be a fried rice tomorrow for the excess food. So there's a lot to learn from this indigenous practices and this traditional practices that we have in the past. Yeah, we're really looking forward to the discussion tomorrow. Hopefully that will can learn from each other and the panelists on that side
Yeah.
event. So talking about the press con that is happening later today, can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from that?
Probably, but in the conference, we have a couple of our colleagues who is going to share about their experiences, where how they landed in this, I mean, the history they brings in, the efforts which is happening in their areas in terms of work. And I think it will be quite exciting for media to know about all. I mean, at the end of the day, it is stories, and stories matter, and it is a story of life, and it is not the story of death. So unlike an incinerator, wherein it is a story of death and burdens, and we are talking about story of life and how we are flourishing economies, or how we are making lives better. So you can hear a lot of stories about what people are doing and how we connect it to the presidency declaration, and where we can get a lot more traction at the international level in pushing for continuing the work we are doing, at the same time getting some more finances in elevating the work of our waste pickers and the city waste management and other work which we are doing.
Thank you very much, Jayan, for walking us through what has been happening there and where we are right now, with our calls to number one, commit to substantial, transparent, and quality funding for urgent climate action in the Global South, increasing climate finance in the waste sector and shifting it from harmful to impactful, supporting upstream solutions with justice and equity at its core. Number three, integrating the waste sector in NDC's 3.0, driving support for waste methane solutions and ensuring a just transition for impacted communities. Number four, recognizing municipal solid waste management as an essential public service and funding it accordingly. And lastly, number five, supporting a just transition in food systems to prevent food loss and waste. Thank you again, Jayan, for joining us today. I know it's been very hectic for you being a resource panelist for a lot of events there. And thank you everyone for joining us. This is Agnes signing off.
Thank you.